All right, cool. So, I will give some more, and if you have questions, please feel free to ask. I want to make sure everyone is aware of what's going on. They don't feel forced into any decision making that they don't want. All right, next up is the approval of the minutes. It may have been a while since we've done this, but hopefully you've all had a chance. They are on the website. Are there any changes that need to be made to the minutes? Seeing none, I'd like to move to the vote. All in favor of approving the minutes as they stand, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. What? Oh. I'll take that. I'm sure all of you caught that. We're just testing us, but all right, thank you. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say the minutes are approved. We're going to move on to the candidates for president. So, as for the election packet that has been passed out, you all should have this emailed to you or on, or all of you do have access to the meeting folder on the drive, and so you can access it through that as well. So, will Abby Malky and Purna Chandra please come to the front? All right. So we have two candidates for the position of president. We've described the position of president before. We're going to give each of them 2 minutes now to give a little bit about what they're standing for and what they hope to do with the position. All right. Abby, why don't you start? Okay. You have the podium.
Howdy, guys. I want to run for president because I really care about what this organization does. What I'm really interested in is more involvement. I want to see everyone get more involved. I want us to all get delegates from every department to make sure the university is involved. I think it's really important for us to know as graduate students what's going on with the university. We are vastly outnumbered by the undergrads, and I feel like they can contribute more than we do. So I think it's really important to get our voice out there, really get more involved in this organization. Other issues I care about are parking. I know that not all of us have access to staff lots. I think we could look at different resolutions for that to maybe get us some better parking options. I also care about computer lab, general resources, so we don't maybe have to share all of those with the undergraduates. Maybe there could be one central, non-departmental graduate lab, computer lab that we all use. That's really about it. A little about me is I'm a current master's student in visualization. I'm also studying law and intellectual property. So I also, as issues come up regarding intellectual property rights for graduate students, I will look into that and how it could affect us as I get further into the research. So that's a little about me. That's a little bit what I stand for and what I want from this organization. If you have any questions, please put them up.
All right, thank you. Brenna, we're going to give you another 2 minutes, and then we'll open the floor for questions for the candidates.
Howdy.
Howdy.
Howdy. My name is Purna Durknani, and I'm currently a master's student in the computer science and engineering department. Might have seen me occasionally make like awkward announcements when you're programming service chair. So when I first arrived at A&M, I wanted my education to be more than just labs, research, and stuff like that. So I really wanted to join the GPSC and see we're a diverse group of people, and I got to grow up in 5 different countries. And this was sort of the place where I could really take them. So, and although we come from different walks of life, everyone in this room shares the same challenges that we face as we try and get our higher education. And within the first few GA meetings, I understood that what we do here actually does matter. And I've seen this concept come together on many occasions, and we have passed some good resolutions and took a stance on a lot of things that have helped make graduate life here better. And as a programming service chair in the GPSC, I have worked alongside the other committee members to organize events for you guys. I helped out with bringing Jorge Chan with PhD Comics here, and I'm currently working on making our annual GPSC banquet on this Friday. And then the community of scholars thing that's coming up. I've been tirelessly working on all that stuff for the past month or two. And if given the privilege to serve as your next president, I plan on maintaining many of the initiatives that we have implemented. I plan on ensuring that any organization, I plan on trying to ensure that the organization remains a positive force in the community and that we stay in a good place with the system and administration. Otherwise, we won't get this done. And I plan on tackling any new challenges that will inevitably arise. And I know I have some pretty big shoes to fill after Matthew, but I promise that I'll work tirelessly and do what's best for the organization.
All right. With that, I will open the floor for, say, 10 minutes. And you can ask questions of either candidate or both candidates. Please be sure that your question states who the question is for, and please keep it brief, not for monologues. Any questions? Francisco.
Question for both candidates. Do you have any other commitments or research? What are your other commitments for the next year in terms of research, outside activities, that kind of thing? Because it is a very intensive position with a lot of meetings, a lot of time commitment.
So I talked to my advisor about this and I said, I'm going to have to graduate a semester late because that's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to take up a lot of time and I understand that. And luckily I don't have any other extracurricular except this because as a programming service chair, I know how much time this is going to take.
My only other extracurricular activity is I serve on the honor council here at A&M. So I've been doing that for a while now, and that is very much a choose how involved you want to be. They send out a poll every week, and I can say yes, I'm available, or no, I'm not. So that is a very, very flexible time commitment.
All right. Anyone else submit?
This is a question for Abby, and also for Vernon. We guys in the GPSC, we have some kind of theme for every year. Like, what do you want to become? Like, what changes do you want to make, and the fundamental changes. So, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but if you are, what are your plans? What should be the theme for GPSC in the coming year?
I think it's more about building community. I say that as a programming service chair, so it's kind of cliche, but I know that we had some projects that have been like working on bringing the other departments together. Like, sort of want to make this LinkedIn page, but we got quoted this ridiculous price, and that's the sort of thing I really want to tackle and make sure that, like, because I think all of us reach a point in our research where we say, hey, I wish I could find an expert on this to help me out on it. And this is the sort of thing, like, going to an advisor is difficult. So this is the sort of thing that's the main thing I really want to tackle. And I think I'm sort of suited. I'm in the computer science department, so it's really, it's in my ballpark too. That's the sort of thing I want to tackle.
I think my theme would be building and maintaining connections with other entities in the university. I think for us to really make sure that our voice is heard and make sure that we're on the right committees, we're in the right places, we're involved in the right things. We have to make sure that the university as a whole and its entities respect us as a university and just overall inclusion. I know there are probably a lot of graduate students out there that either don't know we exist or don't think that this is important or impactful, and I'd like to change that. I know when I try to contact people in my home department, they just kind of blow it off. I know there are a lot of people that think, well, this isn't on my radar, this doesn't matter to me, and I want to show them at least to a certain extent, hey, we actually do things, and it's something that should be cared about by more people, and I would like to really put our image out there that yes, this is an organization that does something, because I feel like, at least from my experience with the other students in my department, that sometimes that message isn't.
Yes.
I know that GPSC started some initiatives this past year. Have been years. What do you think is going to happen to those initiatives? Are those initiatives going to continue? Where are you planning on dropping anything this year, going into next year? Refocus time and effort.
So the main thing is, I know that at the end of every cycle, sort of, the new chair meets with the old chair, and they all get together and say, these are the things I've been working on. And if the new chair wants to take it upon themselves and say, hey, I want to complete this out, I think it's a good idea, then it's going to happen. And as president, I could, like me or Abby, have to push them and say, you got to get this done. And we have to get, because we only have 8 months really, because we're not here over the summer. And we really only have 8 months to get really big things done, and sometimes you have to carry over.
I agree with that too. I think it's more of an opinion of, it depends on what fits with what you see with the organization going forward, but it also depends on, is this initiative now going to be carried over by another officer who may not agree with that certain agenda? what we believe we need the organization to be going forward. So that would be more old officers, office treatment and deciding, which initiatives we feel need to be carried forward.
What do you think is the top three challenges for students?
I'd say a top one for a lot of us is probably time management. I personally have made sure that I learned time management skills early on in my career, but I know a lot of people don't. I know a lot of my peers haven't. I know learning time management, balancing everything. To, I know that sometimes resources can be an issue. Sometimes you don't have access to the resources you need at a given time. Sometimes you can't visit time and you need to work remotely. It's really being flexible in that regard as far as learning how you work, and sometimes finding funding sources can be an issue, and knowing how to navigate how to go find funding for your projects and the appropriate channels to do that. I think these are pretty universal, that no matter what field you're in, you're going to come across these issues sooner or later.
My answer overlaps with Abby a little bit. So funding is the main one. It's, I meet a lot of students who are here from India and China. They've taken out huge loans, and I understand that if the school had more funding, they wouldn't have to be put in a position where some people want to do a PhD, but they don't have the money for it. So funding is the big one. The next one I would say is transportation. It's got to be a lot better. I'm sorry, like buses don't show up. The bikes are sort of the right way to do it. I see a lot of people using it to get to the right places. And the last one would be just more connections with industry. I think that's a big one for me, because industry is the one that fuels our research. They can give us ideas that they have. So to give and take with them, I think we can go to them.
Yes.
My question is for both of you. So have you guys heard it as a higher office? How is that? How is that? This is my first year here, but when I started the GPSC, we didn't have a programming teacher. So what was happening was like Matt and Ananya, they all had to like sort of pitch in and do work for that. So I sort of stepped in and said, this is what I want to do, and I enjoy it. I don't see it as a chore most of the time. It's like a welcome break from staring at a computer. So I think like that, just knowing how the organization works is a really big step in just saying, hey, I know what loopholes and what I need to do, not loopholes, what hoops I need to jump through to get stuff done. Who do I need to go talk to, and how my team around me can help me do that.
I think that definitely knowing the organization, knowing what resources you have available as an officer to go forward and ask for help, because none of us as president or as a unit can do it without the appropriate help. So knowing where we can go for resources and knowing how to get done what we need to get done in the right people. So I don't really see it as a chore. I see it more as utilizing the resources you have in front of you. It's all there. It's in front of you.
Yes, Ben.
Both candidates, what's the most useful advice that Matt gave you?
That was a lot of useful advice, Matthew. I think the most useful advice was his advice to have an outlet to vent, because it is a lot of responsibility and can be a lot of pressure, especially if you're not used to handling it. His was to go see counseling services, have someone outside of everything that you can talk to and vent to be able to let that out instead of holding it all in, and to keep yourself sane essentially. And I think I can agree with that wholeheartedly, because if you're not functioning as a person, then you're not going to be able to lead the organization. And I just thought that was a really good piece of advice, and that can be applied to anywhere in life, not even outside of an officer position. But I thought that was a really good tidbit that I think a lot of people might not think about. You're going to think of the logistics of, I need to do this, this, and this. It's so easy to forget to take care of yourself fundamentally.
I think the best one I've heard him talk about is delegate. there's no way that I can do everything that needs to be done by the GPSC by myself. But that's why we have other members in the XCOM and you guys to help us in the community so we can get a lot of stuff done that one person himself cannot. That's going to be my that would be my best advice that he gave me. Just delegate everything and do the stuff that you really have to do and prioritize that.
For one more question?
I know earlier, there was conversation, kind of like, I wonder if, there's like partial PCA, then recognizing, like, how do you
That's a big thing that I think is a problem is us, we want to be taken seriously by the student government. We don't want them to say, we're taking care of you guys and kind of, because, I think it would be more, I guess, meeting with them, making sure that we're on the same page. And that finding areas of overlap, there's inevitably, even though we may be on different spectrum as grads and undergrads, there's still gonna be areas of overlap that people care about. If we can hone in on that and kind of work on that together, then that'll build trust, that'll build connection forward. I think that would be really good, if we can really start strengthening those relationships and just functioning well as an organization. So even if they're just looking on from the outside at what we're doing, if they can see, that we're organized, we're disciplined, we're structured, we're taking care of business, if they can even just see that from the outside, then that's the face that we put on as an organization is we get it done. We take care of business, we get it done. I think that is will also help them to see that yes, we do what we say we're going to do, and that will also create an image of who can be trusted if we are transparent about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and actually doing it. I think that will go along.
So I agree with you. You have to maintain the relationships with them. I know that there has been a lot of friction, but end of the day, they asked us to come and sort of give them advice. I didn't attend it, but I think some of our XCOM members did. And they said they put about five of them went there and sort of gave them advice on it. At the end of the day, they do look up to us because the way Matt's done it over the last year, we've gotten a lot of stuff done. And so just if we carry that momentum forward and say keep doing the same amount, if not more, then they're going to look up to us hopefully sooner or later, and we can work with them better. And sometimes you got to give up something, so we got to figure out when to give some stuff up and when to really push our agenda forward.
All right. Unless there's motions to extend question time, we will bring that to a close. All right. Thank you. With that, everyone who has a placard, please hold it up so that we can pass out the ballots to you. You can return to your seats. Go for it. I do want to clarify, there are essentially three options here. There's Abby, there's Perna. Any vote that is left blank is considered a vote of no confidence. All right? Oh, where's that? Or there's a line for them to circle or mark? I guess there's a check next to spots for no confidence. Yeah, all right. So any candidate needs to get essentially 50% plus one of the votes cast. Blank votes count as votes, or the votes of no confidence count as votes. In the case where no one receives 50% plus one of the votes, there will be essentially a runoff. In this case, we would move to probably a special session. We'll deal with that if it comes up. All right.
Does everybody have a ballot?
Everyone has a ballot? All right. Once you have filled out your ballot, please hold it high so that we can then collect them. If they are representatives of their department.
We need to go around here collecting them, so we need to start collecting them.
Yeah.
People are.
That's what I was doing.
I need to put these in. Because I'm like,
All right, it looks like we've now collected them all. If there's anyone who hasn't cast their ballot yet, please raise it high. All right, moving on. All right, next on our agenda is going to be the net neutrality resolution from Brenna.
All right, we're gonna make this quick today,
Yes.
right? Okay, that's what I'm looking for too. Okay, so a resolution in favor of maintaining net neutrality rules, presented by myself and Brenna. Whereas the Graduate and Professional Student Council exists to govern and serve as the voice of all graduate and professional students at Texas A&M University. Whereas net neutrality refers to the principle that interest service providers must treat data from all domains equally and forbids prioritization of access to some domains over others. Whereas current net neutrality laws prohibit blocking and throttling of content by broadband providers. Whereas on December 14, 2017, the Federal Communications Commission approved a sweeping set of regulatory changes to dismantle current net neutrality standards. Whereas most institutions of higher education and libraries provide online resources, all those are equal, that can only be accessed via robust and consistent internet connection. Additionally, these institutions increasingly rely on remote access to and storage of data. Whereas many services used to support learning depend on robust and open networks. Whereas the ability to restrict certain sectors of the internet behind paywalls would introduce additional financial burdens that would limit the sources graduate students would have available to acquire information, compromising the quality of research. And whereas an open internet is vital to learning, research, and public service missions of higher education institutions and let it be resolved, the Graduate and Professional Student Council of Texas A&M University wants to strongly urge our political representatives to take legislative action to community net neutrality as law. Let it further be resolved, a copy of this will be sent to all the everybody.
I'd like to suggest a few friendly amendments, if you might mind. Is this both sides justified?
Yeah.
Okay. You accept those changes? All right.
Or codify,
Oh, where is it? Sorry.
the last sentence.
Yes.
Another friendly amendment after institutions comment on that.
Where?
Where the institutions comment, we, so I want to remove those, that comment and the last comment.
Do you accept this change? Good. Anything else? And what?
Where it says additionally, the institution comment. Okay,
Good, yeah.
and also that last word as, and whereas they're separated.
Mhm.
So is there a way to put that?
Yes,
in
that will be
where-
changed to a different line once this is finalized.
Back to whereas I think. No, that's six. The one you were changing.
Oh, most institutions of higher education.
Here?
I don't know why I thought it was third.
Oh, there's a line break?
As an extra space.
Ben?
I remember what I was thinking, whereas, say laws, are there any specific laws you can cite, because as far as I know.
I'll say the FCC
Regulations.
called it under which? I'll say one of them is able to be thrown, one of them is not. You have that kind of, you know that language?
We just make it more. Neutrality regulation.
Are there any other questions, comments, discussion? Yes? Would the authors like to include Ajit Pai as?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I mean, I don't have his contact.
We can dig for it, but
Yeah, I
sure.
don't, I mean,
Where would you like it added? If it is
probably
going to be
like
added?
first author, or first, not author, but.
Fill the name?
BOVAL.
Huh?
BOVAL. I'm so sorry, my PAI. PAI. It's PAI.
Can someone please fact check this?
Yes.
Official title is? Make it smaller. All right. Any discussion? Everyone's cool with this language as opposed to specifying, keeping broadband under? All right, seeing none, we'll move to votes. All in favor of passing the resolution as it stands, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. All right, thank you, that passes. Thank you. Jessica, thank you, Brenna. All right, with that, we'll now be moving to the results of our president's vote. We need to read the counts? All right, in a vote of 11 to 28 to 4 being no confidence, the winner of the vote is Perna. Perna, it will be our new president. Thank you. Sorry, not a lot of pumpkin circumstances, but with that, we'll be moving to the next stage of the election. We are going to be moving by most competitive, I guess is the word. And so the next one that we'll be working on is the VP of University Affairs, as it has the most candidates. Will the candidates for Vice President of University Affairs please come to the front? And just to clarify, anyone who has run as, at this point, now that the president's position is filled, anyone who has run for a position and does not get selected is eligible to ask to be a write-in for any other positions. All right, why don't we give a quick 2 minutes to introduce everyone. I'll let you know when you're coming up. Why don't we start on the left-hand side, move my left-hand side, and move right.
Okay. Hi, I'm Danielle Bevan. I am applying for the University Affairs, but actually with more considerations for them. With more consideration, I'm more leaning toward the other position that I'm running for.
You can keep going, otherwise you can save us time and move to the next person.
Yeah, well, save time.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chandler Wilkins.
I'm a first year master's student studying urban planning with a focus in housing. And I'm really interested in this position because I'm really interested in the students' actual tasks that duty entails. From what I've heard from Tyler and what I've read online, you need strong organization, communication, and time management skills. All things that I have acquired through my previous leadership positions that I've had in my undergrad and up until now. And I really have three major points that I like to fulfill with being elected to this position, and for you all to remember them. It's CDC, so remember that in your head. First one is continued efforts to increase council involvement of unrepresented organizations. We're a very diverse network of people, and I want to make sure that we're grasping all the graduate students that are out there and all the organizations to get them into the council, show them all the benefits of it. For D, I want to diversify the committee appointments. So again, we're a very diverse group. I want to make sure that the committees are all representative of that fact. Then the final C is collaborate with other council officers to create impactful programs. So I think there's very good, very strong benefits in all of us working together as officers and as everyone to make programs that are more so catered to us graduate students. And with that, I've hit my 3 points, and I will pass it on.
Okay, howdy. My name is Jessica Benson. I'm actually speaking on behalf of a PhD student in my department. Her name is Diane Friend. She had a very important stat exam that she was not allowed to miss tonight, so she asked me to read this on her behalf. Diane is a non-traditional student in our department. She decided to come back to school at the age of 60 after having a career that was hard for her to leave. She asked me to hit on the fact that she's a graduate assistant, like many of you all, and she works in the Office of Dean of Student Affairs, which has allowed her to make a lot of connections that have been valuable to her time here at Texas. She had 3 points that she wanted me to go over. One of her goals would be help create an inclusive environment where all graduate students have a voice. In addition to gender, ethnicity, and sexual orientation, this includes older, non-traditional students, students of color, veterans, and disabled students. She wants to encourage the council to reach far and wide and bring more diverse students into the organization, while also recognizing the differences that make us each. Additionally, she believes that truly leading is very important. She comes from a leadership background, and she wants this organization to be something that delegates feel their time and contribution is valuable to. It's not just something that we're coming to check off a box. It's really important to her. And lastly, she says she really values the Aggie Code of Ethics. These virtues resonate with her. Coming from a small rural town and growing up on a farm, she understands that the world is larger than each of our own selves, and that she respects the land grant. What land grant stands for, a greater knowledge, and that's the center why she is here and why she wants to be.
My name is Zane Sheehan. I'm a doctoral student in the Department of Agricultural Leadership Education. So I focus a lot on teacher methodology, working with their student candidates. My research interests are in diversity. I was interested in this position. I guess I'm more interested in the executive EP role. I think they'll play better to some of my strengths with parliamentary procedure and serving on boards and managing delegate body groups. But this role was also interesting to me because of that diversity and inclusion focus that I care about. Ultimately, it's just making this experience easier and better for us here. And that can be something as simple as our registration system is incredibly complex. Like we have no idea when classes are offered, if they're fall, spring, who knows. To simple things like A&M lacks a preferred name policy. Or a lot of my students go by middle names or shortened versions of their names. So every day for me, I get called by the wrong name, which is frustrating for me, but I can get over it. But our transgender community, that can be a devastating impact. So it can be simple issues like fixing our registration system or the busing system technology that we have, to very deep-reaching complex topics like a name policy. Ultimately, university affairs are something that is why I'm interested.
Again, I still stand by some of my previous reasons for wanting to be an officer, as opposed to the presidency. My goals for this specific role are to ensure that all of the different committees have the appropriate students kind of seated on them. I want to try to put people on committees where I feel that they would serve best, serve their interest, and serve their knowledge. My background coming from Honor Council is that it really only takes a few hours a month of your time to make a huge difference for the university, for the student body, and I've been able to see that firsthand. It can be intimidating, you know, when you first start going to this meeting, you think, I don't know what I'm doing, you know, how can I make an impact? It really just takes you, it's just saying a little bit, just voicing your opinion a few, maybe once or twice a month. I really want to emphasize that that is where we make the impact. It is the people that go and do that little bit. And I want to, work with everyone, all of the delegates, and figure out who is best at what and who can best be served where. Because we do have the ability to sit on so many different boards, the advisory boards, even things like concessions, athletics, things, they have a board for everything. We have so many different ways that we can impact so many different aspects of this university, transportation, everything. And I really want to get us so involved in that and sitting on things. And it's really interesting once you learn more of the inner workings of the university and how the administration has to deal with all of these different aspects. You really gain a deeper respect for the people that do these jobs and for the university as a whole. And I think it's so important at any stage in your academic life to definitely get back to the university that's giving.
Howdy, my name is Drake Malott. I'm a third-year PhD candidate in the Department of Biochemistry and Biophysics. So the reason that I chose to run for this position is mainly stemming from a lot of experience in my undergraduate with the University of Michigan. I played a role in hiring provosts for the university as well as a new professor in my department, and working very collaboratively with the university and kind of developing an understanding of how inner workings of the university. In respects to the GPSC, one of the major focuses of this position is assigning the committee chairs, I kind of talked with Tyler about. I think this is a very important role, and it may seem innocuous to many people because they're like, oh, it's a committee chair, I just work under them. But they hold a very important role in furthering and pushing forward this council. And they work very collaboratively with the president and other executives. Further, due to the fact that we as a council are very diverse and rapidly growing, and we're largely representing a significant portion of campus, I think it's important that we have a very strong and logical voice with the administration through these mayor's officer. So these are the reasons why I have chosen to run.
Very quickly, let's just go through so everyone can remember names again.
Daniel.
Keller Wilkins.
Jessica, standing in for Diane.
Abby.
All right. Now y'all have that in your head, right? All right, let's do another 10 minutes for questions. Just go ahead and raise your hands. Start down from you. As mentioned previously, I'm going to pause the thing. As mentioned previously, anyone who is not elected to another position is eligible to run as a write-in for any other position. That is why we are going from most competitive to last. In case any of the members up here would like to serve in a different role than their primary. All right. Are there any other questions? Yes, Francisco.
Yeah, so as the Vice President of University Affairs, you will have the Quality of Life, Diversity and Inclusion, and International Student Affairs committees underneath the chairs and their committees. You will also be responsible for assigning graduate students to external committees, and those graduate students represent the graduates and employees to university committees. How would you handle an underperforming student, either chair or committee or external member? Question for all members.
We start on the right side and sweep down.
So the first thing, I mean, if somebody's underperforming, I would logically just sit down with the person and have an open discussion with them and kind of understand where they're coming from. Are your lab, if you're in a lab, are you really struggling right now? Is there something, an issue in your life? I think it's important to understand the person first, and then instead of making accusations or assumptions and raising a lot of havoc. If necessary, you can replace the person. That big.
I agree with Drake's points a lot. I think the first thing would be to figure out, is this an isolated incident or is this a repetitive, ongoing thing? I understand, life's not perfect. Accidents do happen. Things happen that are beyond your control. And in the event of that, I think it is the responsible thing to do as a committee member or as a delegate even to communicate with those above you that what's going on immediately as soon as you can, so that things like that can be mitigated. I realize it's not always possible, but I like to be flexible. I've had emergency situations
lean on teaching pedagogy a little bit for the answer. I think most behavioral issues in a classroom can be avoided if you set strong expectations and rules at the beginning. And so just by establishing what's expected of our students, what are the behaviors that they should be doing, and then once we move into that process, it's all about communication. And people lack these days, we just don't understand how to do it. So the fact that you got a flat tire is not the problem, it's that you didn't communicate. We have to talk about communication and then just here's what we're looking for, here's how can I help you do better, and then let's
In my conversation with Diane about why she wanted to run, she mentioned that she is an older woman, she's 60, and so she has a lot of experience working with students at the university level as an adjunct professor. So she understands situations that you're going to encounter either, as a graduate student or in your professional career. And so one thing I would say, to speak to her character, she's very approachable and very understanding. So I think her first route of action would be to just kind of understand the perspective and the context of the situation surrounding the absences or lack of successful interaction as a group. And then from there, she would diagnose it.
All right, and I agree with just about what everyone else has said so far. But I think the first thing we need to do is communicate with that person and see what's going on. So I'm very big on communication, making sure that we know exactly what's going on inside the situation and able to diagnose it after that. I had a similar thing happen when I was in my undergrad, when I was president of this fund organization. I was overseeing the committees that we had there, and there was one committee chair who just didn't show up to anything. They didn't show up to their own meetings, they didn't show up to greater council meetings. So I sat them down to talk with them to see what's going on, and actually they had some family issues. And so from that point, we discussed what steps they wanted to take further, and they actually stepped down from the position, and another person stepped up. But it was us having that conversation that really opened up the floor to that result. So I would think first thing would be to communicate with them, then next thing take action.
Yeah, I mean, I have a teaching background, so I'm working on my PhD in math education. I know I didn't really talk too much, but if I were to work with people that maybe weren't really picking up their slack, you kind of have to see what's going on in their personal life, kind of mentor and coach them through, and exactly kind of piggybacking off what everyone said. There are reasons why, and if this is a reoccurring thing, you kind of have to have that hard talk. And I currently advise a group on campus, and I've had to have certain talks to the officers if they weren't doing what they were supposed to do.
I had a question for the board if you're not involved with GPC in the past. What kind of exposure do you have with GPC? And why did you decide to run?
Throw that in this time, sure.
So I decided because I wanted to get involved with Texas A&M, and I did not do. This is my first degree here at A&M, and I know that there's like this huge pride with all the undergraduates, but then when you get to the graduate level, there is a pride, but there's just not really a lot, and I feel like it's a lot of separateness. And so I wanted to try and get involved to maybe try and see if there's a way to blend everyone together on campus, or at least the graduate students, and get us more involved, whether it be social events or just different things. So then that way you can meet people outside of your little bubble that you have while you're in graduate school. I've held numerous leadership positions in undergrad and teaching. I had different leadership roles. I started a mental health awareness group at the high school that I worked for, and it was student led. And like I said earlier, I currently advise a group on campus, and so I've been able to kind of grow my leadership, and I just wanted to try and branch out to something different.
And for me, I really wanted to get involved. So realizing that I hadn't been involved with GPSC before, I'm a first year master's student. So what I've taken upon myself to do is read all the council minutes that we've had for this entire school year. And I've read over all the resolutions, and to make sure that I'm educating myself on how the council is run, how things are going. And then I've watched the free videos online to see how the flow of meetings. So make sure that if I were elected, that I know exactly what I'm getting myself into, and so I can just weave myself in more seamlessly. Yeah, I really just wanted to get involved with the GPSC, and when I saw this position, I was like, well, this is exactly what I've done in my entire leadership experience. So moving over to this wouldn't be that difficult. So I made sure that I prepared prepared myself for the position, and here I am.
Yeah, I was a little bummed in the fall when we came time to like select our people because I had a mandatory class that I couldn't miss. So I wasn't able to be our representative. But I guess I wanted to get involved because if you want change to happen, legislative processes are designed for it. So you have to be persistent on them. So if I want these issues to become better and shape this experience, I've got to be the one. So I guess that's why, even though it feels a little awkward to have not been in the room before today, I wanted to find ways where I could take some of my talents, more specifically in the other role, to bring to this group, but then to start fighting on behalf of those issues. I tried to become more prepared. I've read through some of the minutes and agendas and watched videos as well, and I know that that's not the same as being here, but I also know there's a lot of potential in having outside.
We do have time for one more quick question. Anyone? Yes.
You are elected to this position.
Start on this side again.
So my agenda would mainly focus with the first tasks that are at hand. Speaking with Tyler, it's very heavily loaded at the beginning of each school year. A lot of new meetings, you're assigning committee members, et cetera. So that would be the first order of business, is to try and tackle all of those issues and find people accordingly and handle all of this. Beyond that, then you try to figure out what's the next step. That would be my initial.
Following up on that, my initial agenda for this position would also be to really get to know the people who I would be delegating to put on the committee. I don't want to just point a finger at someone and say, I think you should be on this. I really want to put people where I think they would be the best fit, not only to the committee and to the organization, but for themselves. I've seen that there's so much personal growth that comes from serving on external and internal committees, and I think there can be just there's maximum benefit for you as participating on the committee and for the results that happen from you being a participant. So I think I want to balance the maximum of the benefit that you and with the results. So I really want to get to know people and place them where everyone can benefit.
Policy-wise, everyone's gonna have their own topics they want to work on, but in a leadership role, you have to find ways of setting them aside to listen to people on. So it wouldn't necessarily be about what policy issues I care most about, even though I would obviously work for those. But in terms of growing this position with university affairs, I think that we've got to find ways to have collaborations and partners, and when we care about a topic, so do other people. Registration also affects faculty, senate, we've got to find ways to reach out to people that we can collaborate with. Find appropriate who are best suited to meet with those groups to expand what you.
One of the things that Diane highlighted in her agenda for coming year, she was elected, was to really focus on the people that are in this room, getting to know them, what their needs are, what their struggles are, and then making sure that you understand that your time here is valuable and precious, and that you have buy-in to this organization. That's something that was her main top priority.
All right, now I'll go back to CDC, as I explained before. So first, continue efforts to increase council involvement of represented groups, diversify community appointments, and collaborate with other council officers to create beneficial programs. And I think in order to do all those things, I will need to again get to know everyone in the room. And I'm I'm very open to doing that. I like talking with people and getting to know individuals, and I feel like with this position, that's exactly what it will entail. So with my 3 points, I want to push those as my agenda, and then also get to know everyone in the room, make sure I understand what your needs are, what you're good at, what you're not good at. And so when you're going, and I'm looking for community appointments, first getting volunteers, and then seeing the next stage where everyone's good at and put them in the right position.
And then, yeah, empower the graduate students, and like kind of open the eyes and say, like, show that there is a little bit of time, even though we're all super busy with our individual degrees, but that you can do something within the school and just kind of make our presence more known on campus, because we do serve a good, there is a good percentage of us here.
All right. With that, we will now move to the vote. Candidates, please take your seats.
Can we get everyone to say their name one more time? Maybe first and last name one more time.
Sure. Starting on the left.
Okay. Daniel Bevins,
Jalen Wilkins.
Diane Friend,
Zane Sheehan.
Abby Malton.
Drake Malat.
Please be aware that Alan Peshevars is on the list. He is not eligible, however. He has not yet met the requirements. So, candidates, please take your seats. Everyone, please raise your placard so we can get you ballots. What? Candidates are able to vote if they are a delegate. Are all ballots collected? If you have not had your ballot collected, please hold it high. All right, thank you. All right, moving on with the rest of the schedule.
If you refresh your email, you should see the candidate packet sent by Courtney. Also, we're live streaming on our Facebook page. So if your department is watching or wants to watch, go to our Facebook page, share it to your Facebook page. You can like and follow it. We can brand our page once we get to 100.
All right. Next on the agenda is the academic freedom presentation. They're counting, so we're gonna make time, or we're gonna make use of this time while they're.
Okay. So, hi, I'm Emily from the English department. A few weeks ago, the English Graduate Student Association and OVAS brought two speakers, special speakers to campus to talk about scholar activism and academic freedom. One was Dr. Carlos Chavez, an associate professor from University of Texas, and author of the upcoming essay collection, The Relevant Academic. And the other was Dr. James Klein. He is the president of the Texas chapter of the American Association of University Professors, otherwise known as AAUP. We had really high attendance for both events, so, and for across the disciplines, we're really thankful for everyone who showed up. I attended the first event, but I didn't attend most of the second event because it was during our demo. But I got some notes. So two of the things, so I'm going to talk about today, academic freedom, tenure and student shared governance. What does it mean? What does it mean for precarious faculty such as adjuncts? And what the AAUP is in the state of Texas, local right to work state. We mostly talk about shared governance and academic freedom because that seemed like the most interesting out of the group. The American Association of University Professors is outside of Texas, an actual union. We have collective bargaining and everything. In Texas, they're more of an advocate chapter. So the
AAUP's statement on academic freedom, which is a very long statement, states that scholars should be in charge of academic freedom and education because they are the experts. The AAUP often makes statements on and interferes in issues of academic freedom on U.S. campuses. They did so on my campus, ASU, when there was a holdup because the government was trying to hold up some grant money. So, what does AAUP intervention look like? Often it just means bringing in their members to sit in the room, bearing witness, showing that someone who is having their academic freedom under attack, that they have supporters against, they're not in isolation against the hostile board of administrators, and it's quite powerful, because well, there's some professor. However, the AAUP has no power except to add schools to their censure list. Therefore, there are no real consequences they can do except to perhaps harm the education. Popular. This may make our Texas chapter seem weak, and in some ways it is, but the more union-style AAUP chapters tend to focus on money, while the Texas branch of the AAUP focuses on concerns relating to advocating for academic freedom. Overall, Dr. Klein cautioned us that specialization puts faculty at the mercy of administration, as we become isolated on our little subfield and do not know how the money is handled, which leads me to my next point, which is shared governance. Shared governance at public institutions like Texas A&M is a tripod of authority between the public, the institution, which has the money, and the tenure track faculty, which has the expertise, often to the exclusion of adjuncts or other experienced faculty, such as graduate student instructors. Sort of a test case for how tenure and shared governance can come under attack is the University of Wisconsin system. Tenure and shared governance was written into Wisconsin state law. Responsibility for immediate governance was primarily the faculties. Then state law changed. The law now says that faculty are primarily advisors to the chancellor. It used to be that faculty could only be fired because of written charges about something they did or a financial emergency. Then it changed to include changes in the curriculum or university goals as a reason for dismissal. The new policy was so bad and so vague that there was no way to rewrite it. It made it so there was virtually no protection for faculty. Read all about that stuff at the University. The panel also noted the differences between nominated and elected boards and appointed boards. So we have a board of regents here. Boards that are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the legislator are more beholden to their constituents than, say, ones that are just straight up appointed by the governor. Ours are appointed by the governor and confirmed by the Senate. Dr. Klein urged us all to educate ourselves about how these structures work in our institutions. If you have any questions about things related to this topic, a good book is Academic Collective Bargaining, which is like a free book I got through. You can actually get it if you're an IEEE or an MLA. With your membership. But it's like an edited collection of like essays about academic freedom, the AAUP. It's more MLA-ish because but it covers all the way from graduate student instructors to contingent faculty, to tenured faculty. Depending on your graduate association affiliation, you can sometimes get a copy for yourself or your organization. Mic drop.
With that, Jesse, you want to start us off with the questions?
Good evening. My name is Jesse Lewis. And my question, I'm a delegate at the College of Education, Human Resource Development. My question tonight is, can you explain what is an AAUP censure list?
So an AAUP censure list is, for instance, so when a university starts to attack academic freedom or tenure, in some sort of way, they can censure them and say, we do not approve of what you are doing, and our members do not approve of what you're doing. The AAUP chapters in almost every university. So it's sort of like getting your employees are unhappy, people who do this job are unhappy, and maybe we won't have a conference there, or maybe
go to your place and stuff like that. So it's kind of, it's not a strong thing, it's just a way of saying, oh, we don't like what you're doing and we represent America.
And also, my last question is, I noticed AAUP is studying, doing the case study on the University of Wisconsin system. Are there other colleges and universities that AAUP is focusing on as a case?
How many I can think of, the one that we talked about at the talk was mainly by University of Wisconsin because Dr. Chavez is actually someone who left University of Wisconsin to go to the UT system because it just was so hostile to her. And people just kind of handle it. Other professors and tenure was under threat, so no shit. Hello.
We're not in this issue, so.
No, I don't think we are.
Any other questions? All right. Wait, is that the end?
Yes.
All right, thank you for the presentation. All right, the preliminary results are in. As no candidate received more than 50% of the vote, we are going to move to a runoff vote between the top two candidates. Will Chandler and Drake, yes? Chandler and Drake, please come to the front and give 30-second little speech of why you should be it again. Whoever gets there first can speak first. Jen?
So again, my name is Chandler Wilkins, and I'm running for the Vice President of University Affairs position. I've done a lot of research on this position. Once I figured out what it was and what it entailed, I've gone through the resolutions that the GPSC has passed. I've gone through the minutes. I made sure that I educated myself the best way that I could to the way the council operates, and also how the position operates. I've met with Tyler, and I've read online. And my previous leadership experiences have prepared me for this exact position. From being the president of organizations where I had to assign committees and do all the other type of stuff, to just being a member and knowing how to just support individuals. So hope you all feel like I will be the best candidate for this position. Thank you very much for your time.
Howdy again. So my name again is Drake Ballot. So the reason I ran for this position is kind of in similar line with Chandler here. My experience and background extensive. I not only played a role on student senate at undergrad, I worked hand in hand with administration and finding policies working. Further, my experience here this semester, or this year, I guess you could say, really lent some insight into what this role actually entails through like a fair amount of conversations with Tyler and other members who are in committees like this.
All right, thank you. With that, will you all please raise your placards again? We will pass out some more ballots. So in this case, we have Chandler and Drake. If you leave it blank, that will constitute the vote of no confidence. Right? Thank you. The names are Drake and Chandler. I will pull them up. You can read them. Once you've written on your ballot, please hold it up, and we will collect them. Are all the ballots turned in? If there are any more ballots, please hold them high. All right, thank you. Right. With that, we'll move to the next item on the agenda, which will be the transportation thank you resolution from Amit. This is the one you want?
Handicap, yeah, that one. And if you go to the second last, whereas, it should be university students, yeah. This one, the last one, and whereas, the university students, staff, and visitors. Students come. The same thing is on the last one, technical result.
Howdy! All right, please welcome Amit to the floor. He will be reading the resolution thanking transportation services for helping to create enforcement for handicap placard abuse.
Like the last time we discussed, we, which means my committee and GPSC, we were successful in trying to convince both the transportation department and the UPD, actually the transportation department and UPD in sync, so that they could enforce the handicap placards that we were forcing, so that this would be convenience for all the handicapped students, the staff, and the visitors to Texas A&M University. We feel that it's appropriate to thank them now that they have accepted our push to enforce the placards. So this is the thank you resolution. This is a resolution thanking the transportation services and the University Police Department for enforcing the handicap parking resolutions. Whereas the Graduate and Professional Students Council exists to govern and to serve as the voice of all graduate and professional students at Texas A&M University. Whereas the federal regulations stipulate that all federal and state vehicular parking lots must provide accessible parking spaces to the disabled as mandated by the American Disability Act, ADA 1990, to ensure equal rights to all Americans with disabilities. Whereas the accessible parking spaces make it possible for people with disabilities to get into and out of a vehicle and around it. ADA regulations mandate the parking spots to be specifically marked with international accessibility symbols. The ADA stipulation uses a practical approach of earmarking the parking spot on the shortest accessible travel route from the point of parking to the building entrance. To ensure that the physically challenged commuters get the desired benefits, strict monitoring and steep penalties are mandated for parking violators. Similar to other state institutions of higher education, Texas A&M University has earmarked disabled parking spaces for granting easy access to its disabled students, staff, and visitors. To ensure that the parking benefits reach the intended population, enforcements are mandatory. Steep penalties act as deterrents for the physically able to misuse the easy access of the reserved parking spots. Whereas, through the transportation services of Texas A&M University, College Station had the earmarked spaces. Enforcement was a challenge due to the lack of access of the handicap placard holders' information protected by the HIPAA regulations. Such information is, however, available to the University Police Department, UPD, for enforcement purposes. Due to the restricted availability of the UPD for such time-consuming enforcements, the disabled reserve spots were flagrantly misused by the able-bodied students while remaining inaccessible to the deserving disabled population. Discussions with the Texas A&M University Transportation Services by GPSC finally led to the coordination between them and the UPD, leading to the handicap parking violations enforcements. While the additional financial burdens to placed on the violators by way of citations will act as deterrents. It will also provide financial incentives for the transportation services and the university. And whereas the coordination between between TAMU Transportation Services and UPD will resolve parking issues for the physically disabled university students, staff, and visitors. So let it be resolved that the Graduate and Professional Students Council at Texas A&M University wants to thank the TAMU Transportation Services and the UPD for agreeing to the GPSC recommendations of enforcing the handicap parking rules, which will alleviate the parking problems of the physically handicapped students, staff, and visitors. Copy of this resolution shall be posted and then delivered to the following.
Before I open the floor, would like to announce the results of the runoff. In a vote of 35 to 12 to 0, Chandler will be our next Vice President of University of Florida. All right, I will now open the floor for discussion and comments. Yes? Where? I'd like to suggest that also be taken. Are there any other? Yes.
Friendly amendment, each time you added staff, Oxford comma. Before we started reading, added staff, last two.
I wholly agree. Would the author like to accept the friendly amendment? Thank you. It is stylistic, but the author has the option. Where was it? I'd like to suggest it gets removed as it has a title as opposed to simply a description of the department. Any other questions, discussions, comments, amendments? Yes. Like that. Do you have suggestions? Would you like to accept these friendly? Where else? Here? Thank you. I agree. Yes.
So you capitalize the rest of the transportation services.
Would the author like to accept this as a friendly amendment?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
There's a definition for the transportation services policy, is the whereas above. So instead of if we're referring it, with the Texas A&M.
Would the author like to accept this as a friendly amendment? Just a moment. There has been an accepted friendly amendment. All right, there's been a motion moved to previous question, which would end the question time and prevent any further amendments. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Is there any discussion? For example, if someone had an amendment they wanted to make? No? Yes?
Okay, so then whereas
I think this works as an argument against the motion. Are there any other arguments? With that, we'll move to a vote. The vote is to move to previous question where we will close the amendments and discussion period and move straight to the vote. We would have to ignore the suggestion that is a good one and move to the vote. All in favor of moving to previous question, please say aye. All opposed, please say nay. With that, the discussion period is now open again. Would you please, I believe you had an amendment that you'd like to suggest?
Yes. The common before college stations.
Well, is of the more original intention, author? What is the intention here?
That's the intention, that is University Transportation Services of Texas A&M at College Station.
At College Station, of College
College
Station?
Station.
Would you like to,
College Station.
as the author, what would you like it to be? Friendly amendment, so. You want, you can throw it to the GA.
Yeah. Any suggestions? Go ahead.
There's a motion to delete College Station.
No, the motion to delete the comma.
And College Station. Is this accepted as a friendly amendment? Are there any further amendments? Suggestions, discussion, arguments for or against the resolution? Seeing none, we'll move to the vote. All in favor of passing the resolution as it stands, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you. Well done. All right, the next part of the election process will be for Vice President of Finance. I will remind you again that Alan is not eligible. However, anyone who ran for Vice President of University Affairs who would like to be considered for Vice President of Finance may also join us at the front. Otherwise, I would ask the candidates for Vice President of Finance to please come up. Again, anyone who ran for VPUA that was not selected is also eligible. All right. You will each have the same 2 minutes to present yourselves. All right, there we go.
I'm Mahendra Bandari. I am a second year PhD student in Soil and Crop Sciences Department. And I always wanted to join a student organization outside of the lab. And last semester I found international. I have been involved with the finance officer in ISA. And then in March, I saw the application for Vice President of Finance from. And what I thought is like, this is what I am more interested in because I have been involved in several financial leadership positions in undergraduate studies. I really like to work on budgeting, allocation of funds, and writing grants to see and explore what opportunities we can get for the organization. So if I am selected for this position, the main goal will be to coordinate with the program planning group and the hours group, and then do a proper allocation of funds and budgeting so that we can implement all of the programs of this organization. And I believe that this financial sector is the key for the success of the township as well. So with that, I'd like to say it is interesting to play with money, but it is really challenging to find all the money. So I hope you all will do it. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I don't feel that well, so I'm going to try my best to make coherent answers. My name is Missy, and I am a first-year PhD student in biological anthropology in the anthropology department. I decided to run for this position first because I was told that many people were applying, but also because I find money really interesting, and I've always been really fascinated with budget spreadsheets, deciding where money should go and the best way to use it. I don't have any specific experience working in finance, but I have my personal relationship with money, and I'm married and I don't live with my husband, so I have my personal household that I have to take care of as well as my husband. He is terrible with money. So I have to be able to work around taking care of the budget for the two households. And as you know, being a grad student is not cheap. So I think I have really good experience with knowing where to pull resources so that you can get as much money as you can for the budget that you need. So for this position, I don't know what kind of shoes I have to fill because I'm not familiar with the previous vice president, but I will do my best to maintain the standard that they have provided, and I will do my best to meet that standard and find different ways of making, of doing better in this position and bringing in more money for graduate students. I want to hear your thoughts if I am chosen for this position. Just because you are running for this position doesn't mean you don't have good ideas. So working together, I'm sure that we can come up with good solutions for
10
improving
seconds.
the budget and doing better for GPSC. Thank you.
All right, we will have 10 minutes to answer questions. Any questions? Matthew?
So part of the role of the VPF is to go out and seek external funding. What's your plan for that?
Actually, I do have a little bit of experience through International Student Association, and I was talking with Jamie about that, and it is really different to approach organizations. Maybe there is a chance that we can get money from inside the university, but there is equal opportunity we can find the funding from outside of the university as well. And I think she was saying we need to make some changes or something like that. And what I found is working in ISA for a single event, we raised almost $8,000 per international week going on right now. So there is a lot of scope outside of the university as well and inside of the.
What I would do is, depending on whoever I'm trying to pull money from, I need to understand why they may or may not want to give us funding for whatever we're requesting. So I need to understand that dynamic and understand ways of making them feel that we do need this money for whatever we're working on. So I would just make sure that I'm going in there fully prepared with all the knowledge that I can, and charisma, that'll get us a long way to get what we need for the organization.
Any further questions? Yes.
Same question as before. You'll be in charge of the programming and service and the awards committees as well as the chairs. How would you handle a chair of committee that's not performing?
First, you need to talk to them and understand what the dissonance is and why they may not be performing to the standard that we think they should be performing at. Maybe they don't even realize that they need to step up their game. So just communication is really important so we can fix it.
Yeah, as Missy was saying, I would do the same. Like, I talk with them and find what is the real problem on the problems that are coming up with the award committee or any of the committee, and trying to see if we can solve that problem within the coordination or collaboration between together, and then trying to help them to be better. And if something comes up, then we need to change the committee or something.
So follow-up question for both candidates is that you'll be in charge of the budget for the entire GPSC. So if there's not enough money to go around, how would you handle conflict between the different committees in terms of allocating funds for the projects they want to do?
I would say first I'll talk with all of the committees and then prioritize which one should be the program or any awards that needs the fund. And on the basis of priority, we'll be having some distribution of the budgets and the money that we have. That is what I will think.
I'm sure there are priorities in the certain aspects that are requesting money, so we would have to look at that first, and also look at the history of how much we've been giving each party, and what they've been doing with that, and we'd have to go off of there if we can't pull in extra resources for whatever reason.
Any other questions? Yes.
One of the major things that more funding. What is a way to earn more funds for salary?
I was talking with Ananya and she was saying there is a bunch of references that we can look over and see what we can explore in terms of getting more fundings either inside the university or outside of the university and support the international students. Mainly what I wanted to do is to support the international students, that is like almost 1/3 of the graduate students in the university, and also with the travel hour. There might be the chances that we can explore some money and then allocate the money for the travel hours or establishing some kind of hours.
Sorry, I lost my train of thought. What I would do is I would look at the sources that we're currently getting our funds from, and if we can manage to pull in extra funding, then I would try that first. But if not, then we would have to find other outside sources. It's hard for me to answer that question with exactly what I would do because I don't know right now about the sources that we're pulling the money from and why we aren't getting more or why we're getting what we're getting right now.
I have a follow-up question from Mahendra. You just said that, if I understood you correctly, you just said that you prioritize helping international students with travel funds. So what do you think about the domestic students who apply for the travel funds?
It is not about giving more priority getting the domestic students back or something like that. There are chances like when there is some scope, we need to support the international with supporting the domestic. Not like we are going to target only the international students. And that will happen on the basis of how much funds we'll be able to generate, like if we can generate more fundings or allocate the fundings more precisely or properly, then establishing some more travel hours would be the good idea to support both of the domestic and international.
I'd like to add another question to that. So hypothetically, if you do not get any additional travel funds, so how do we allocate these funds? Do we give priority to any particular segment, or would you kind of generically distribute that based on the merits of the candidates?
I would go with the merits of the candidates if something like that happens. And if we can do something for the international graduate student, then it would be the better to help them in a better way.
All right, it's time for one more question. All right, seeing none, we will move to the vote. Please raise your placard so that we can bring out ballots for the Vice President of Finance. Candidates, you may return to your seats. Candidates, you can return to your seats.
It was late.
If anyone has not received a ballot, please raise your placard high. Thank you. also, so we have two more. Watch it down so that it's so the rest is pretty much. All right. Anyone, please hold your ballots high so that they can be collected.
If there's time, we'll do it. If there's no time, we'll do it.
So there's voice reports, study reports. So I mean, it should just kind of tick through pretty quick. All right. Anyone who has not had their ballot collected, please raise it high. All right. In that case, we'll be moving on with the agenda. First thing is voice reports. Would ECE, GSA please start us off?
Hi, my name is Fernando. I'm from the Electrical Engineering and Training Department. We're gonna have a fundraiser event on April 11th. Base Pizza, so real quick, go there, support us. We need money. You have to take the flyers there, or you can have it on your cell phone. If you want the flyer on your cell phone, just send me an email to FERL. Chris, do you mind?
Oh, yep. I'm awake.
FERLABALLE.
Sorry, what? No, slower. What?
FERLAB. Okay, so I hope to see you there. Pass it around your members and departments. Thank you.
Physics and engineering.
So if you've been sleeping the past 4 meetings, you might not know that the Physics Festival is this Saturday. On Friday, there's a public lecture that kicks it off with physics cooking from David Weitz at Harvard University. Also starring Ty Lee of Veritas, and Mitch Siegert, who's a prophet.
It's a great presentation.
It's at 7 p.m. in Physics 20345 lecture hall. And you also might get free chocolate if you go. So then Saturday is the festival itself. There's over 200 demonstrations. It's 10 to 3:30, and it goes on a bit longer than that, but don't go earlier. You can go to lectures by astronauts. You can go to lectures by Nobel laureates or tour their labs here. And there's a closing public lecture at 4 p.m. In the same room by Rocky Kolb, The Mysteries of the Dark Universe.
I will say the physics of cooking was fantastic last year. It was standing room only, and a select few got special adult beverages from the person who runs Med Taco.
And I think they'll have talking auditorium simulcasting as well.
Your question?
I just wanted to ask how many people because I figured
For the lecture, it's gonna be a few hundred. The lecture hall, as many as the lecture hall holds. And for the festival itself, we're expecting around 6,000 people. It's the biggest business outreach.
All right, GSO research. GSO research symposium. It's a thing. April 20th. Okay. Register there. Nutritional research symposium. No one? All right, it's also a thing. Are there any other voice reports? Yes.
I'm sorry because I was
Fine.
but if you follow this week, there's in microbiology, virology. This week in virology, the podcast people are coming over June 26th, and they're gonna record their live show in the MS Galaxy. So we come.
That's on the other hand. Yes.
This is for the awards committee. I will send out an official Just wanted to let you know that online, the please pass this along to your department officials, and the award of complete assistance.
Any others? Yes.
It's Friday. Well, it's Friday's gonna be like a meeting, you know, what it's actual. If you're interested, please come and join us Friday. And
Yes.
The diversity committee is hosting another interdisciplinary dinner, and the next one will be on Saturday, April 21st. The host will be, Dr. Rosana Moreira from the department. We start about 4 p.m. So more information will come. Yeah, they canceled it and we're still trying to reschedule.
All right, are there any other voice reports? If not, we'll move on to committee reports. No? All right, I guess we're done with symposium season. I guess next up will be marketing communications.
So two things. One is we have our LinkedIn page online. So please be sure to join as delegates, right? You can join, you can recommend each other for skills, and then also connect with each other. So it's a very helpful resource just to connect with each other as professional. Correct. We've got, I think, 5 people on it right now and 20 followers. So please make sure you join. Second, this is our finalized pop-up banner. So we're gonna get it printed in the next couple weeks, and then it'll physically be here, should be here for the next meeting. So thank you to the Marcom committee for helping putting it together. Yes. It should be Texas A&M GPSC, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so when you're actually building your LinkedIn page, instead of just having a dead link saying you were a delegate, you can actually link this onto it, so employers can see it. Kind of nice. And then again, you can recommend each other for skills, having served on committees, being delegates or chairs. You can give recommendations to each other. Just be sure to use it, because otherwise, what's the point? All right, that's all I've got.
All right, what are the numbers? Do you have numbers? I know. All right, hang on. All right, in a vote of 22 to 11, neither candidate has more than 50% of the vote. You know what, I'm gonna leave it to the GA. Would you guys like to do another vote ballot now, or would you like to do a special election next semester, or next meeting, apologies. Okay, raise your placards if you'd like to do another vote now. Please raise your placards for special election next meeting. Huh? Sure. Questions?
Finish the count.
I did, the special next meeting. Questions? Yes? No? Yep. At the next meeting, everyone is able to pull out the application again. We may have more candidates. They will also, we will hold it again, we'll hold it again next meeting like we did this meeting. Everyone will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves, their platform. We'll have another 10 minutes of questions for you to ascertain who would be the best choice at the next meeting. All right. With that, we will have that special election next meeting. Let's move next to the Vice President of Information. Again, anyone who has run for a position but was not selected is eligible for this, to run as a write-in for this position as well. Otherwise, Danielle, please welcome to the front. Are there any other candidates that would like to join as a possible write-in? All right, seeing none, you'll have 2 minutes to introduce it.
Me again. Danielle Bevan, PhD student, kind of going off of what I said, like kind of briefly before. I was interested in information. I've had a lot of officer positions in the past, leadership positions where I've had to take a minute to just kind of keep everyone in the know with what's going on. I really want to make sure that information is given out of different opportunities available to the graduate students here. And I'm very into the organizational of trying to maintain everything. When I was reading up on the like what it was to be the VP of information, it is a lot of organizational skills, a lot of emailing and making sure that everyone kind of works together. And I really enjoy doing that. I do that with my advising. I do that with my assistantship. And I just wanted to try and do it on a larger scale with the graduate students.
Right. With a single candidate, we'll have 5 minutes for questions. Are there any questions? Francisco.
Same question as before. You're going to be in charge of the marketing, communication, and the recruitment chairs and their committees. How would you handle underperforming chairs or committees?
Like kind of I said before, you have to just kind of talk to them and figure out why are they slacking? Is it they're not interested, or are they having personal things going on behind the scenes? And you know, just kind of making sure that they realize that what they do, marketing is a big deal, and if they drop the ball, then it's kind of like a domino effect, and that they could be, just their little mistake or them dropping the ball is going to then in return make everyone else's jobs more difficult, and just trying to keep them accountable for what they signed up for.
I saw a hand up here in the middle. Question? Yes? No? Maybe? Okay. Courtney.
So one of the things we were working on this year was like increasing like the reach, right, student council, like through marketing, social media, and recruiting more delegates. So just wondering if you had any ideas for how to promote GPSC.
Yeah, so I've been trying to like brainstorm that as well, just try, because I know for me personally, hearing about the different opportunities, I didn't even sometimes hear about the different opportunities. And I've been here for a little bit, but making sure that like the delegates from each college really explains what we talk about here and really highlights the different things. And then I was thinking if I were to be able to have access to like the mass emails to all graduate students, if there's events going on, like obviously we just saw in the bullet there are these different activities or events that are going on with the different departments, and just being like, hey guys, come out to this. This sounds really cool, because I had no idea that the physics, this physics fair was going on, and I'm in Aggie STEM. And so, and we have a camp every summer. So I'm very fascinated with that. So I know that I'm not the only one that would have different things. So just trying to really utilize the delegates within the colleges and get the information out. And then, really trying to get the Facebook page or Twitter, different social media out there and getting us in here to really like use it. Then that way it's kind of on a broad, being seen.
All right, any further questions? Yes, Brennan.
There's the VPI is sort of be charged, right? Curious as how.
I mean, everything is different. When one of my positions I had on my undergraduate was actually like VP communications. And so I had to be in charge of the website and taking the minutes and emails. So I'm a pretty quick learner. And if I have questions on like, how does this work? I'm not afraid to ask. And so maintaining something, and if it helps market this group, then I'm willing to add, you know, like anything that needs to be and trying to make it more user friendly or whatever.
Any other questions? All right, with that, we'll move to the votes. Please hold your placards high so that we can get you ballots. When you do have your ballot filled out, please hold it high so that we can collect it. For the sake of time, I'm going to ask that we continue diversity and inclusion. Diversity dinner announcement. All right. Programming.
Okay, so we have like two big things coming up this month. The first is the Scholars Week. It always says dinner on the 10th, but there's actually like coffee on the 11th, and there's sort of like a graduate family fun night on the 12th. I don't know what the lawn it is, it's right in front of the okay.
It's in front of Jack K. Williams.
Can I speak on that?
Yes, so, as you guys may be familiar, on the tenth, we'll have Center and Dialogue. The theme is, adversity is the safety, resilience in the face of adversity. There have been 10 unsung heroes who serve on this panel. 3 of those will be highlighted on the evening of the 10th. Faculty hosted tables for, dialogue, dinner, as you may be familiar with. On the 11th, we will have a networking social where we're going to give you the opportunity to network with all of the 10 unsung heroes. On the 12th, we will have a family fun night. We are encouraging you out your mates, whatever the case may be. We will have carnival style snacks, popcorn, hot dogs, all that good stuff. A host of games.
And in reference to the games, we're looking for organizations to sort of volunteer to host the game, so we have to do sign. Yeah, if any other groups want to just sort of, we're looking for 10 groups to do it, and you guys to get out the office. And the other thing is the GPS banquet, that's at the end of this month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the 30th, so we're in the process of planning it soon, so I'll give you guys more about it.
If there's any other ballots that need to be cast, please hold them high. All right, let's start counting.
I was like, I can't have all of them.
Are they? Anyone else? Where'd they go? Courtney's on.
Courtney,
Courtney, counting time.
do you have?
Okay. And then pop-up banner?
What?
Oh, you already did that, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, research. Please.
Okay, hi guys, so, just to give you an update on the seminar calendar, can you click the link, please? So if you go to the GPSC website, you'll see on the left, there's, or if you actually, can you just go to home, like, so if people just type in GPSC, please. Seminar calendar on the left, or you can follow that link. And then basically, it's arranged by college. I don't know why it says College of Engineering, but we'll figure that out. And then for different colleges, you can scroll, like, so you should be able to see events that we have. You have to be logged into your TAMU email. If this is a problem for you guys, like if you still can't read them, I'm just gonna have to change all the settings. So just please shoot me an email if you cannot read them while being logged in. Or I'll just change them. Now there are some that we still have calendars for, but they just haven't been uploaded onto the website. So stay tuned for those. But you basically, anytime you see a link, you can just click it and add it straight to your calendar, and it'll go onto your Google Calendar. So that's the way. And then these links should all be the same. So next semester, when the next semester seminars are added, they'll be up on there. If your department is not featured up there, please shoot me an email, because we probably just haven't gotten that information yet for that summer. But again, there's like half of them that are still missing, that we have. Yeah, so I talked a couple weeks ago about the video spotlight. So we're having a mini competition, travel grant competition. So you basically record a 3-minute video. You could win $100, $75, or $50. So basically a 3-minute video of your you and your research, however you want to do that, just to show the university what you do. And there's really no, like, you can be in costume, you can be in your lab or the field, wherever you work. So it's pretty free there. And then you can submit your videos to research at gpsc.tamu.edu. I don't use it often, so I don't really know. And then if you can't record your video, we'll record them for you in the beginning of the next TA. So, but I need to have an email by the Friday before so that I can plan for how many people we have, and we'll record the video. And then there's a flyer that was also sent out in the email. So please email that out. It's open to all graduate students, so please share.
Tyler? Yep. Okay, I'm just gonna give a quick update on the Thursday football task force that I'm sitting on. So I don't know, I think I talked about this a little bit last week, or last meeting, but the first football game of the semester next year is going to be on the first Thursday of the fall semester. So there will be classes, there will be freshmen who have never been on this campus before. It's going to be a mess. So the university is trying to get ahead of that now by forming this task force. But the things that are relevant to graduate students that I want to let you guys know, as of right now, they are operating under a no-tow policy. Those of you who have valid decals should be fine. The game is on Thursday. Wednesday night, there'll be no parking restrictions. Also, the hotel is opening that same day for the first time, so it's going to be really wild. For those of you who are interested in going to Midnight Yell, it's going to be at 10 p.m. instead of midnight, so it'll be 10 p.m. Yell. Those of you who are tailgating, there will be no land rush, as they have done at other normal football games. Instead, they are going to just have it first come, first serve, starting the night before. And the actual tailgating won't begin until 4:30 p.m. So that's on that Thursday, 4:30 p.m. is when the tailgating is going to start in the lots. So they're encouraging you to get out of the lots by 4:30 p.m., but they are not going to tow you. And if you have a valid decal for a lot that would be otherwise paid, you're going to be allowed to remain in that lot. Lots that are going to have issue are going to be the ones that have RVs in them. So if your lot is normally converted to an RV lot, it is still going to be an RV lot, and they're working on providing additional options for those lots. Overall, they are providing a number of alternative options, including park and ride. So none of this is going to be mandatory because they don't want to have the optics of football being more important than academics, but they are highly encouraging both faculty and staff and students, to park off campus, take alternative routes. They're going to have alternative routes for buses. They are going to have the normal bus service on campus as well as the normal football game buses going. And I would personally encourage you, if you have any way of coming to campus other than parking on campus with your car that day, definitely do that. And we're going to need to communicate with the departments. So y'all as delegates are going to really need to communicate with graduate students in your department as far as what the alternative options are. Those have not been specified yet, but they are coming, and I will keep you guys posted. But and they're also they're working on getting a promo code for Uber and Lyft that day. They will get a discount or possibly free Uber or Lyft ride. Does anyone have any questions on that?
Yes.
Yeah, so the one that they were really concerned about is the one near Clayburg. I think it's 74. Yeah, there's currently no plan. They are working on it. That is one of the lots that's going to be affected. But in general, there's going to be a policy of leniency, as I said, no tow. So as long as you have a valid decal, you should, and may not be allowed to get into that lot. But if you're already there with a valid decal, you should be. All right. And then last thing, if you're in the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences, I talked to the dean there, and we are working on setting up a roundtable. So if you're interested in that, please come see me. Talk about that.
All right. For 39-4, Danielle is our new Vice President of Information. I appreciate that you're going to stay. The meeting's going to run slightly longer as we have one more election. For reference, Student Senate regularly runs past 10 p.m. So, Zane, please come to the front. You have 2 minutes to introduce yourself. Or at least it used to when I went to student center. I'm sorry. If there's anyone else who is, anyone who ran for a previous position but was not selected is also eligible. Those who are want to run, please come to the front as well.
My name's Zane. Promise I'm not. I thought this was like the best place to pick background experience. My last job, or my first job, I was a teacher, and so I coached teams. The teams I coached were Harley. I really get excited about Harley Pro. And it's an effective tool, and why I like it is because it ensures a voice in the minority group in the room, and then in the majority group. I liked it. The teams that I coached, I had 2 state finalist teams, and so I had contribution. My last job, I worked for the Department of Ed, and part of my responsibilities was managing the process. We had 800 delegates that are 1,000 people. And so I know what it's like to deal with complex constitutional amendments. I'm just hoping I can, as a teacher, I can share and bring good to help us ensure there's parliamentary procedure and effective business, and also engaging. So if there's any questions.
All right, any questions? 5 minutes.
I guess we kind of hacked up Robert's rules. Like, what would you propose, or what do you use?
And that's based on the group, because fraternities and sororities use their own rule order, and the Congress is up to us what we decide on. I think it'd be important for us to know what the options are here, like even votes of no confidence day, that's something that's in our constitution that allows for the company. So I think we have the constitution. But I would want us as a body to be more informed about it, because we're going to use this in real life, whether it's a homeowners or school board, or you're sitting on a board of directors for a business. I haven't seen anything dramatic. Coach, if we want to grow.
Further questions? I have spoken to Zane. I think that he knows what he's doing. All right. With that, I don't have questions. Sorry. Please raise your placard so that we can get you the ballots. Once your ballot is filled up, please hold it high so that we can collect it. If you still have ballots to be collected, please hold them high. Over the left side here.
Does anyone still have a ballot?
No, otherwise they'd be holding them high. All right. Howdy! I know we're coming close to the end. Please bear with us. Do we have any advisor comments tonight? Do we have any administrator comments tonight? Thank you. All right, with that, I do know that some of you that we talked to weren't running for officer positions because a lot of you were thinking about chair positions specifically. I would highly encourage that all of you please consider what chair positions would work best with your skill set. Think about what kind of things really fire you up. What kind of things do you want to work on? Because these are more specialized positions that really let you work on what you're really interested in. So please consider that. The current officers will be meeting with the officers for the next year so that we can open up the application process soon. Ideally, we will have people applying and interviews will happen shortly after that. Our goal is to ensure that the chairs can be announced by our last meeting, which will be the first Tuesday in May, right? So that is coming up fairly soon. So please consider chair positions. I think a lot of you, I can think of several of you specifically that I think would be really good chairs. And I want all of you to think about your role in the GPSC and how you can help the group grow. With that, I will, again, at the next meeting, we are going to have this special election. We will have that at the beginning. Actually, we'll have that after the speaker's podium. That'll be part of new business. And we will simply do it kind of the way we ran the president's meeting, where we just jumped right in. Any candidates will come up. They will speak for 2 minutes, and then they will be questions. Do we have numbers? No, do we have numbers? Yes, we do. All right, with a vote of 39-2, Zane is our next executive vice president. Congratulations.
So Zane, our last one served for 5 years, so. Did you know it's a 5-year contract? You knew that, right? Zane, come with me, mate. Thanks.
All right, with that, I have kicked our president's growth report to next week. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn. There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Have a good night. Yes, please return your voting cards. We need to keep those.
Yeah,